Well, howdy partners, it's your old buddy the Reddit Rider, and welcome back to the Reddit Ranch. Why don't y'all come in and sit a spell, 'cause I got some mighty fine tales to tell. Like our first story. It's about a tenderfoot that just can't make enough time for his girlfriend, and somehow, he thinks it's all her fault.
Should I break up with my girlfriend over our fights? I'm 32, and I've been dating Jessica, who's 30, for 1.5 years. Jessica is absolutely amazing. She's the first woman I've been with who I could see myself marrying. But sometimes she's insecure about the relationship. It started early in our relationship that she began complaining that I was too busy. I have a full-time job, I am a volunteer and have started my own business. But I always make sure she gets to spend time with me. Such comments really bring me down because it makes me feel she doesn't value everything I do for her. The problem is that these fights happen often, and they always mess me up. I sleep awful after such fights, we talk less in the days after, I feel upset and worry if she is the right person for me. She apologized the first few times it happened, and then for 6 months we barely fought, and that was amazing. Recently I've been more busy than usual. My business is really taking off and I am so excited for the opportunities it brings. I have to postpone us moving in together a few months, which hurt her, but she accepted it. We'd do it later this year. This week I actually had no time to see her, but I managed to move some appointments on Friday. I drive to her, pick her up and bring her for lunch. At the restaurant I spot a friend who is in the same business that I'm working on, so I tell Jessica I need to go talk to him for a moment. She sits down at a table, and I talk with this guy for about 30 minutes. I know it was long, but this is incredibly important to me. So, I return and get a phone call that I need to answer and then finally sit down with her. She's clearly upset, and she asks if maybe it's better we reschedule the date because I am too busy. Which makes me angry since I moved all the appointments for her. I picked her up and drove her to lunch, and now she's calling me too busy. I tell her that I don't appreciate her calling me busy since I am doing my best to make her happy. She still seems a little upset but says she understands. Unfortunately, I get another call and then another friend of mine walks in and joins us for a while at lunch. So, when we leave the restaurant, Jessica tells me, "Well, that was a fun lunch together, we talked so much." In a very sarcastic tone. I just hate it when she does this, and I tell her she's being way too negative. She says she's kidding. I bring her back home and kiss her goodbye. In the evening I felt so sad and annoyed about this. I make time free in my agenda and all she did was complain. And it made me think of all the other fights we had about this. So, I texted her how I really hated the day with her, how she brought down my mood again. She apologizes and promises she'll be more aware next time how she communicates with me. She tries calling me, but I am not in the mood to talk to her, so I don't answer her calls. And I tell her how I am not sure if this relationship is working for me since she always brings up these issues. She apologizes a lot, saying she didn't mean to hurt me. I tell her I'll think about it. Since then, I've slept awful. I cannot focus well on any of the things I am working on right now, and I feel it's mostly because of Jessica. I haven't talked to her since then, ignored her messages because I need to think. I was in a great mood all week, but after this fight I feel awful. I cannot use anyone bringing me down right now, but she is also an amazing person. I am torn what to do. I love her and want to keep her in my life, but not if she keeps bringing up these issues. Should I break up with her over this, or should I keep trying to make it work?
Well, partner, let me ask you this. Do you want to lose such an amazing person? I mean, ain't none of these issues are on her, and if you end up losing her, it'll be all your fault. Because you do know you have to make time for her too. I mean, taking an hour off of everything to eat some lunch with your girlfriend would not have been the end of the world. I'd try to explain to her that your current schedule won't last forever, and that the business you're starting will hopefully take the place of your full-time job. I'd also try to free up some time. I'd probably get rid of that volunteer thing. I mean, it's commendable that you're helping out and all, but if you stop doing it, it won't impact your finances, and it would give you more time to spend with Jessica. And you can always go back to it later. Just something to think about. Our next story just shows how little gratitude some folks have.
AITA for telling my sister that she chose the life that she has, and she shouldn't complain about it? To start this off, I'm going to give you some context as to what she did and why I don't pity her. I'm 28, and I have a sister, Caitlin, who is 1 year older than me. Growing up, we were dirt poor. Our family nailed almost every single Southern hillbilly stereotype on the head. We both did decently, but neither of us had ever considered college. Caitlin graduated high school first and got a full-time job immediately. She began to help with bills, but at some point, I began thinking about maybe going to school. I was having the same thoughts a year later when I graduated. Well, what we hadn't known was that when our great-grandma died, she left my dad all that she had, which came up to a sum of a couple $1,000s that they decided to save for us. And because Kate began talking about maybe going to school, Mom began to save her bill money to add to the sum of the money. Unfortunately, it still wasn't a lot, so our parents sat us down and explained that they had money for only one of us to go to school and that they would have to think about who to give it to. I was prepared to fight for this chance, because I realized this was my chance to better myself. I was ready to do whatever it took, but I didn't end up needing to because Kate gave up. I guess Caitlin realized she wouldn't be picked because I had better grades and was more well-liked because Mom told me later that day that she had backed down and said to give it to me. So fast forward, I got my BSN and work as a travel nurse. I do very well for myself and live 2 hours away from my hometown. I went to visit my sister because she's pregnant with my nephew and I missed her and brought some gifts. We had lunch and were just chatting about what we were up to when she began to complain and whine that she was tired and asked if I didn't mind if she vented. Before I could answer, she started talking about how she was tired all of the time from her shifts at work and then having to come home to her kids and her husband. It sounded a lot like she was regretting her life, and after about 20 minutes, it was starting to get on my nerves. She would not stop or change topic. Finally, I lost it and told her that I wasn't here to listen to her complain and that she really shouldn't complain about the life she chose. I told Caitlin that if she didn't have to get married or have a low-paying job, and if she had wanted to better herself, she should have fought harder to go to college instead of giving up before she even tried. It ended in her crying, which I felt horrible about, and then she went home without saying anything else. I tried apologizing for how I phrased it, but not for anything I actually said because it was true, but she won't accept it. Our parents have been giving me the cold shoulder and I feel lost because they won't listen to my side of why I said what I said. AITA here?
Well now, ma'am, you are a nurse now? Good. Maybe you can figure out what the hell is the matter with you. Caitlin is a big part to how your life turned out to be. And you don't even have the common decency to listen to her vent. She more or less gave you the money. And you never even thanked her. And that comment about how you were more well-liked. So, you're saying that your parents liked you more than your sister? If that was the case, then your parents would not have needed time to think about who to give it to. Is it your fault her life turned out this way? No. Could you show a bit more gratitude for how your life turned out? Hell yes. Oh, to answer your question, yes. You are a varmint with a capital V. This next one shows what happens when your friends are just too judgy.
AITA for cutting off contact with my friends and some family after they commented on my wife's and my relationship? I'm 30, and I'm married to my beautiful wife Julia, who's 29. I would like to say I am an artist. I do not make the most money. I have some income, but it is not a lot. My wife is the breadwinner. She would never hold this over my head. I worked before the pandemic hit. I got laid off and my wife was the only one working. She was taking care of rent and all the bills. She has always made more money even before I was laid off. I took a break from art while I was working. Art is my passion, but it does not pay bills. While I was not working, my wife told me I should get back into art. I have started to draw and paint again. My wife tells me she sees how happy it makes me. I can work now, but my wife told me I do not have to if I do not want to. She told me I should sell my art and focus on that. I love her for this. She has always supported me completely when it comes to working. She sat me down and had a talk with me when I came to her about working again after the pandemic. She said, "I see how happy art makes you, and if you do not want to work and go back to art full time, I would not mind that. It is completely up to you. I don't mind paying the bills if you're happy." She is truly amazing. So I started art full time and I sell my artwork, and I'm very happy with my life. I do not mind that she pays the bills. I offer to help out all the time. She told me I can help if I want, but I do not have to. I pay our phone bill, internet bill, and trash bill. I know it's not a lot, but I do not want her to feel like I am just using her. So I help where I can. The other night we went out to dinner with some friends and family. They do not know I am a full-time artist. My family has never been the most supportive of it. When the bill came at dinner, we split it by couple. My wife took the bill and paid. My friend said something about how I was making her pay for the food. My wife told him that she did not mind paying for the bill. Then the comment about me being a house husband came up, and it irritated me. I told them that I have been working on art, and that I have not made lots of sales this month. Then my friends started to talk about how that is not how a relationship is supposed to go, and I need to man up. I did not care about those comments. What I cared about was that my friend told my wife, "You need a real man, not a baby, to take care of." I know it was a joke, but it hurt and made me mad. The worst part was when my mom told me I need to start working and that I can't only rely on her for the rest of my life. My wife paid and we left. When we got home, my wife told me that she would prefer to pay all the bills than me work a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life and be miserable. I cut contact with them because I feel like, 1, I don't need that BS in my life, and 2, I don't feel like it's their place to talk about my relationship. I confided in my sister, and she told me I was an age and that I need to listen to my mom, but I'm 30, married, and have a great wife who can handle her crap. I don't see anything wrong with me working on my art. If it goes nowhere, I'll start working again. Maybe my mom was right. Maybe I should be more independent. So AITA for cutting off contact with my friends and some family after they commented on my wife's and my relationship?
Nah, you ain't the varmint in this here story, and your wife does sound amazing. Your friends said that about you? Wow, partner, you need a better class of friends. Fact is, anything to do with yours and your wife's life really isn't anyone's business but yours and your wife's. And the only person whose opinion that should truly matter to you is your wife's. If you're okay with your role, and she's okay with her role, then no one has the right to open their pie hole about it. As for cutting them off, well, you really don't need people who are so non-supportive and judgmental in your life, do you? Our last story shows what it's like to have a family full of a bunch of twits.
AITA for not telling my family I moved after they cut off all contact with me? I'm 27, and I got into a huge fight with my family 7 years ago. When I started college at 19, I met a boy. I fell in love with him. My older sister was 22 at the time my boyfriend was 18. Me and my boyfriend moved in together after a year of dating. We were both in college and busy a lot. I had to finish a project for one of my classes, so I was out with my project partner late. When I got home, I found my older sister sleeping with my boyfriend. I blew up at both of them. I was mean with what I said, and I do regret some of it, but they should have known better. I got my stuff and left. My family has always favored my older sister over me ever since we were little. I think this is because I was adopted by them when I was 3 months old. They are my godparents, and my mother got really sick after she gave birth. She passed and I was passed around my family members till they found somewhere more permanent for me. They did not want to take care of a newborn. So, then my godparents adopted me. I call them mom and dad since they are all I have ever really had. So, when I went to my parents' house crying and I told them what happened, they tried to tell me I was overreacting and that my sister just wanted to be more like me. I was mad, so I left and stayed with a friend for 2 weeks, still going to school. My parents asked me to come over and they had my sister and my ex in the living room. I sat down out of respect for my parents. My sister started with some BS, I'm sorry, and that she loves him and wants to have a family with him. I started crying and yelling, and I admit I could have handled that better, but I was 20, hearing the man I'm in love with is going to be with my sister forever. After I got into the fight with my sister, my parents were upset with me for not accepting them and I was called selfish. They said that when I want to be a good sister then I should talk to them, and to get out. So, I left. I had 2 years left of schooling, so I got an apartment and finished out school. When I was done with school I joined a marine biology program in Costa Rica. Mind you, my family has not talked to me this far. I decided I had nothing back home after a couple months. I went back home, sold all my stuff, my lease was up anyways, so I got a permanent position down here and I moved. It has been 4 years since. I called my sister and apologized for some of the things I said. I told her I can't forgive her. I would like to say that I am not mad that he picked her, I'm mad she picked him. My big sister saw how much I loved him and still wanted him. I am not mad anymore, but I can't have the same relationship I had with her. Me and her talk every now and then. 3 weeks ago, she asked for my new address, so I sent it to her. That is when she realized I was not in the country. She asked me what the hell I was doing in Costa Rica, and I told her that I live here. She never asked where I lived till now, and she did not want to know so she could come see me. She wanted to know so she could send me a wedding invitation. The wedding she is having with my ex. She told my parents, and they called me for the first time in 7 years to yell at me for not telling them I had moved. I told them I had nothing back home and that I have a life and a family here. It had been 7 years, and I was done fighting with them. They asked what I meant by family, and I told them I was engaged and that I had a baby. They were mad. I don't really care, but they're making me feel like I'm the AH for not telling them. So, AITA for not telling them I moved after they did not talk to me for 7 years?
Are you kidding, ma'am? Your sister gets busted sleeping with your now ex-boyfriend, your family thinks that's okay, and that you're selfish for not being okay with it. And you question whether or not you're the varmint? No, ma'am. You ain't in any way or form a varmint. But your sister, your ex, and your family are. In fact, sometimes calling someone a varmint is not an insult, it's just an accurate description. The only mistake you made was calling your sister to apologize. You don't owe any of them crap. My advice, go no contact with the whole lot. They don't have the right, or even deserve the right to know anything about you or your life. Remember, the best revenge is living well. So, live well. Well, partners, I do plumb reckon that it's time for this good old boy to ride off into the sunset. But if y'all enjoyed y'all's time at the Reddit Ranch, then I'd thank y'all kindly to hit like and subscribe. It'll really make this old cowboy smile. Until the next time we meet, adios.